Hey y'all, and welcome to Politibrawl. My name is Brian, and Jim Jordan delivers the best takedown of Jasmine Crockett you might ever hear. I don't think she's going to recover from this one. Let's dive in.
These people are out of control. You're talking about arresting members of Congress? These masked agents are running around acting this way? This is not okay. This shouldn't be about politics. We all should be on the same side saying we will not stand for this type of activity. But instead, they want to pretend like it's members of Congress that are the thugs. It's members of Congress that are the ones that are stoking this kind of violence. Let me tell you what those members of Congress were doing. They were trying to make sure that there would not be another mother that would lose her life in ICE custody as it was Mother's Day weekend. They decided that they just wanted to make sure that people were safe because that is who we are supposed to be in this country. And honestly, for anybody that considers themselves to be a Christian, they should care about treating people in a humane way. And they should also care about due process. Everyone in this country under our Constitution is due process. With that, I will yield.
Ranking member yields back. With that, I'll now recognize the chairman of the full committee, the whole committee, Chairman Jim Jordan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let's be clear. Republicans have been consistent. We've condemned violence every time it happened, whether it was last week in New Jersey, whether it was January 6th, whether it was the summer of 2020. Every single time we said if there's violence, it's wrong. It'd been nice if the other side had done the same thing. Summer 2020, holy cow. Police being attacked all over the place. What are they doing? Raising money to bail out the bad guys while they're talking about defunding the police. So don't give me this that somehow we're being inconsistent. We have condemned it every single time. 4 years and 4 months ago today, January 20th, 2021, Joe Biden made 3 decisions that created this mess in our country that we've had to deal with. He said, we're no longer going to build a wall. We're no longer going to have remain in Mexico. And when you get here, you will not be detained. You will be released. Guess what? Everybody came. Go figure. 8 million people came into the country. 6 million people were released. Thank goodness for President Trump and his administration. Elected on this issue. And already his administration has deported over 135,000 criminal illegal aliens. CFPB and Coast Guard have seized 232,000 pounds of drugs at our southern border, and the FBI has arrested suspected MS-13 gang members, including high-ranking members in New York and Virginia. That's what enforcing our immigration laws looks like. That's what the president campaigned on, and he's doing exactly what he said. And it all happened without any help from the other side. Rather than seeking to protect the people they represent, they're fighting for criminal illegal aliens to stay in this country. Now think about this too. First it was sanctuary cities, local officials saying, we're not going to help ICE enforce federal law. Even when they get a detainer, they let them out of the jail when they're trying to come apprehend them. People have been in there. We had the situation in Denver where the illegal alien was in for auto theft, charged with auto theft, aggravated assault, and they said, we're not going to release him to ICE. ICE had sent a detainer saying, give us 48 hours, heads up. They gave him 40 minutes. They had to arrest the guy in the parking lot, and an ICE agent gets injured. They had to tase. It was bad for the migrant, bad for the law enforcement, and dangerous to public. But that's what left-wing policies do. Sanctuary cities, then it was sanctuary states, whole states, sanctuary states, and saying we're not going to work with federal law enforcement. Then it was judges letting the bad guy out the back door while the good guys are coming in the front door to arrest him. And now we find out it could even be members of Congress. That's what we saw at Delaney Hall a couple weeks ago. It wasn't congressional oversight. ICE is an important job to do, and God bless the men and women who serve in ICE. They got a tough job. I know we got some here been there. They got a hard job, and agitators who obstruct them from doing that part of their job are part of the problem. So I'm going to thank our witnesses for being here today. I want to thank the chairman for his good work in this subcommittee and on this issue in particular, and I yield back.
Jasmine, you do not want to talk about out of control and then ascribe it to the Republican Party, okay? No one is buying this nonsense. When it comes to out of control, we have had Democrats who have been flaunting the rule of law, but they have been ruling outside of the bounds of our laws, and they have been doing their own thing for the past administration. Okay? Jasmine, you do not need to be talking about this. You do not need to be complaining. Out of control, to me, looks like basic Democrat rule of law. Because they are, for the most part, out of control. So, hit dogs are going to bark on this one, and Jasmine Crockett should not be talking about this. And Jim Jordan is right to just dress her down and remind her of how Democrats are just flaunting the rule of law. What he's referencing here is a judge called Judge Dugan, who, and this is what happened in that story. She's from Milwaukee. According to an FBI affidavit, the Judge Dugan became visibly angry, commented that the situation was absurd. She left the bench and entered the chambers when she learned of their presence. Their presence was the ICE agents that had come to pick up an illegal migrant who was being charged with accounts for battery. She decided to let him out of the side door, to which he tried to flee from police. They tracked him down, they caught him. But she quite literally did her best to refuse any orders and make sure that those ICE agents were not able to do their jobs, or at least in some easier capacity. She quite literally tried to aid and abet a criminal, illegal alien. All because she did not want to play with the federal agents, which take precedent over her. This is the kind of judge that Joe Biden tried to force through the United States. Remember, during Trump's first term, he actually set a record for the amount of federal judges that he appointed, thanks to the good work of him and Mitch McConnell. As much as we like to dump on Mitch McConnell, that's one of his great legacies right there. And then under the Biden administration, Biden broke that record, despite being both cancerous and completely out of his mind, according to Original Sin, which I'm reading right now, and good grief, it's way worse than we thought. We knew, we didn't know how bad it was. Apparently, it was worse than we could have imagined. And so, under the Biden administration, you kept on getting these ridiculous activist judges that are acting outside of their purview. And Jasmine Crockett is out here complaining that we're arresting someone that cannot do her job as a judge. The American legal system is one of the most important things that we have, ladies and gentlemen. It is what separates democracy from tyranny. That's what a good judicial system is supposed to do, and it has been co-opted by these terrible leftist Democrat, I don't want to use the word morons, but there's got to be a better word for this. There's got to be a way to describe this. Insanity, perhaps? Thinking that our country can survive without the rule of law, and these Democrat activists think it's a good idea to constantly flaunt those laws and then have a complete double standard. That is not helpful to our democracy. That is not helpful to our future. That is not even helpful to the illegal migrants who, more often than not, they're fleeing for a better life, okay? They understand their countries aren't really that great. That's why they want to be here. But that's not fair to the people that are trying to be here legally. It's not fair. That's what we're constantly talking about, this ideal of fairness. And I think that is fundamental in the ideas of life, liberty, property, the pursuit of happiness. We need to have fairness under the law. That's why when you see a lady justice, she's wearing a blindfold and holding the scales. The Democrats have been tipping those scales. Jasmine Crockett is out here spewing nonsense and trying to make the point that she is the righteous warrior, when in reality, she is undermining the very thing that holds us together as a country. If we do not have basic rule of law, we do not have a country. That's why conservatives get so angry about illegal immigration. That's why that's why President Trump, that's why the Republican Party gets angry about this stuff. We care about the rule of law because we know that if that goes away, if that's put into the dustbin of history, chaos will rule. And Democrats think that they're going to be shielded from this chaos. They won't. Because they live in their gated communities, these rich white liberals do not understand what it's like for most Americans out there. They do not understand how bad things can truly get. We have seen this time and time again throughout history. Our rule of law is what keeps us strong. And the Democrats are trying to undermine that as best as they can. Jasmine Crockett is out here spewing nonsense, and Jim Jordan gives her a takedown that she richly needs. Maybe she'll learn a lesson, but I doubt it'll ever happen. Remember, folks, Jim Jordan was a wrestling champion, and so he's not only smart, he's also able to compete in the ring. This is what Republican strength is supposed to look like. And Jim Jordan has it in spades. He's calling out Jasmine Crockett, and maybe she might learn something, but I doubt it, folks. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. My name is Brian. Hope you enjoyed this segment here on Politibrawl. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Catch you on the next one. Until then, y'all have a good one.